Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai, and welcome to Jagadambe Reads the Holy Books of India, ShrimadBhagavatam285. As you may remember, Krishna was teasing the gopis about their vrata. The young gopis did not want their vrata to be wasted, and again they knew that Krishna would persist in this wicked game of his. Time was fast running out, and it was time for the entire Gokul to come there for their morning ablutions. They roused themselves out of their stupor. They held their palms over their heads and walked toward the foot of the tree where Krishna was sitting. Pleased with their utter devotion to him, Krishna gave them back their clothes. Indeed, it is strange. The young girls had been deceived by Krishna. They had been ridiculed by him, and he played with them like they had been puppets in the hands of an artist. Their clothes had been stolen by him, and yet the girls were not angry with him. They stood looking at him with their eyes drinking his beauty, and there was no anger in their minds because of this episode. They loved him so much. Krishna knew what lay behind their observing the vrata for Katyayani. And he was full of love for these young maidens who loved him so much. He spoke to them in a kind voice. He said, "I know what is in your minds, and I have accepted your devotion to me. Believe me, devotion to me has never gone unrewarded. You have given me your hearts and your minds, and there's nothing in your minds except love for me. Listen to me. The love which is lodged in your hearts is so pure that it can never become lust of the type which lies in the ordinary human heart. The seed of a plant will give forth new shoots when planted in the earth, but if it is fried or baked, then it will not be able to sprout again. Even so, love of a human type, which is for human beings, will give birth to further involvements with this world. But love which is directed toward me will be an end in itself, and it will never make you earthbound. Go home with the assurance from me that your efforts will not go unrewarded." Overwhelmed by his words of assurance, the gopi maidens went back to their homes. And they were a strangely subdued group when they entered their homes. Only one thought was uppermost in the mind of each one of them. Krishna had said, "I know what is in your minds, and I assure you that your vrata will not go unrewarded." That meant that Krishna had accepted their love for him, and what was more, had told them in so many words that he loved them. Instead of the song and dance, which was part of them, the girls now moved about as though they harbored a great secret in their hearts. And they moved about with smiles of joy in their eyes and a sense of happiness which comes of having attained some desired object. And so the days passed. 180, the devotion of the Yagnapatnis. Krishna was apt to comment on the surroundings when he was in a mood for it. Once, as usual, the youngsters had left Vrindavan early in the morning, and they had reached the forest, which was their favorite playground. This was on the slopes of the Govardhana hill. The heat was unbearable, and the trees cast a welcome shade for the children. Krishna was in a very sentimental mood. He spoke to his companions about the place around him and how beautiful it all was. "Look," he said, "look how gracious these trees are. With their branches interlaced so beautifully, they seem to have prepared a beautiful umbrella for our sake. Indeed, they are fortunate, since they live only for the good of others and not for themselves. They bear without complaint the intensity of the heat of summer, the violence of the storms and rains, and the chilling fire of the frost. And they do all this so that they can protect us from the fury of nature." Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. I hope you come again.